guys, it's Adam. I'm getting ready to put the rub on this deer meat right here. It's a deer neck roast. I didn't show mixing the rub together, but some of the ingredients that I used was ground cayenne, salt, mustard seasoning, black peppercorn, and then garlic powder. And then I put it in this little bottle that I can use to put the rub on. And then I've got some extra right here. And then I've also got my injection ready. All this is apple juice with some soy sauce mixed in. I'm just going to barely inject it just a little bit because I don't want to over flavor the deer meat too much. I want the meat to speak for itself. So I'm going to start by washing the deer meat off and preparing it to get ready to put the rub on. So I'm just going to rub it and try and get it cleaned up a little bit, and then I'm going to take some paper towels and dry it really good, and then I'm going to put some mustard on it, and that's going to be the base to help hold the rub. Some block net trying to dry it off, that way I get a nice dry piece of meat to put my base on for my mustard. That's going to help hold the rub on for when I smoke it. This is a 3.5 pound, again, deer neck roast, and when I do pork butts and briskets, they say normally it takes an hour and a half to 2 hours per pound. I'm guessing that this thing's only going to take a couple hours to smoke, kind of like a pork tenderloin, but this is going to be my first one, so we'll have to see how it turns out. So right now I'm getting ready to put, I've got, again, apple juice and soy sauce mixed in here. Sometimes I'll put some pineapple juice with it. But I usually make a lot of it up and keep it in a spray bottle to spritz it as I'm grilling it. But I've made so much that I just put it in like an old pickle jar. So I'm just going to inject it just a little bit. Again, I don't want to inject too much into it to where it takes away some of the flavor from the meat.
Where will bacon come from?
Bacon comes from pigs, buddy. This is deer. So I've injected it so far into 2 different places, and after I inject it, you can tell that the meat's really tender and it's kind of starting to squirt out on the sides. I'm going to take the paper towel and blot that up again before I put my mustard down. And as I'm injecting, I'm moving it out slowly to try and get it into different areas of the meat versus just shooting it all down in the same place. And again, I haven't done a deer meat before, or a deer roast, so this is going to be my first time smoking it. Kind of all trial by error. We'll have to see how it turns out. I'm going to use hickory wood to smoke it. I like a lot of smoke flavor, and so does my stepdad. So we're going to use a lot of hickory and try and get a real nice smoke base flavor to it. Now you can go to the store and buy different rubs. There's hundreds of thousands of different flavors out there, but I kind of like to make my own. I use a lot of salt, pepper, garlic powder, cayenne pepper, paprika, onion powder, sometimes brown sugar on pork rubs, a little bit of mustard powder. It's really whatever's in your cabinet almost you can kind of just dump in there and try different things out. I like them spicy, so again I use a lot of pepper, cayenne pepper, paprika. So when I put the rub on, typically on my porks as well as briskets, I put a lot of rub. But for this deer, I'm going to go kind of light with it, not as heavy as what I normally go. Again, it's not going to smoke as long, and I don't want to take too much flavor away from the deer meat itself. I want to see what this turns out like. So I said I'm going to go light, but you can tell that I still went fairly heavy on it. And then just, I like to pat it down. You can rub it, you can pat it, but just really try and get it into the meat and press it down there, and it's going to help tenderize the meat. Now, they say that you can put the rub on there right before you put it on the grill. I typically like to put it on there roughly 3 or 4 days before I smoke it. I feel like it helps get into the meat a little bit better helps tenderize it, it really gives it a good solid flavor. So again, this is Wednesday night. I'm going to smoke this probably on a Friday night after I get off work, or Saturday morning. Normally I put pork rubs on and briskets Friday night, and then I pull it off Saturday and have it for dinner. But I really don't think this is going to take too long to do, like a big, 9, 10, 11 pound pork rub or anything. Guys, it's Adam. So it's Saturday. It's about 12:45 right now. The deer's been marinating and with the rub on it for almost a full 72 hours. So today I'm going to throw it on the smoker and get it going. Right now I'm warming up the smoker. I've got a little bit of charcoal, but mostly hickory and cherry wood in there. I've got my spritz bottle ready. As you can see, I've got a Digi DXQ. What that is, it's a little fan down here, and it helps control the temperature of the grill. So I set it to what I want internal temp of the grill at, and it's going to hold it for me. I'm going to smoke this thing probably about 190 to 210, try and stay in that area. Go really slow with it. It's a lean piece of meat, doesn't have a lot of fat, a lot of marbleization on it. So I'm going to cook it real nice and slow, and then I'm going to let it smoke for about an hour and a half, and then I'm going to come out here and spritz it, check it, see how it's going. And then today's 24 degrees out, so I'm not going to stay outside with this. So I've got my ThermoPro. I'm going to put an internal temp on the meat as well as inside the grill, the pit. And I'm going to go inside and watch some basketball and football, check on it with my ThermoPro. And then, like I said, roughly in about an hour and a half, I'll come out and spritz it. But here in just about, I don't know, probably 10-15 minutes, I'm going to put it on. It's 134 internal temp on the grill right now, so I just got a little bit more to go, and then I'll show you how to put it on and the way I've got my kettle set up to smoke. Right now I've got some boiling water, and I've got this divider right here. If you look inside the grill, try and bring it over here. You can see that I've got all my wood and charcoal on one side, so I'm not cooking it with direct heat. I'm using indirect heat. And what the water does is it helps clean the smoke, as well as it helps control the temperature a little bit more too. And I just made that piece at work to divide the two. And again, you can see I'm going to be putting the deer meat over here, and all the wood and stuff is on the opposite side. So there's not a lot of fat on this deer, but there is just a tiny bit, and that's the fat cap side. I'm going to leave the fat cap side up. Stick my probe in it, and then cover it back up. Now I've got the temperature set on 190 right now. So again, I've got the Bluetooth ThermoPro. I'm going to go inside, and it's got an alarm on it to where anytime it starts to get too hot or too cold, internal temp of the pit as well as the meat, once it hits the final temp that I set it as, it'll send an alarm. So I'll come out and check it in about an hour and a half, and as long as I don't get an alarm, that means that my temperature is holding good at what I set it at 190. So here in a little bit, I'll show you when I spritz it about an hour and a half in. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to spritz it. It's about an hour and 15 minutes in. I kind of just want to check it, and also check my internal temp with I've got a different thermometer that I can just poke into it real fast, and it'll tell me what it is. But sorry for the camera being so shaky, I've lost all my help. But I'm just going to check it, probe it in a couple different places. You can tell it's still pretty cold. About 81 degrees. So I'm going to just spritz it real fast. Help keep it from cracking, help keep it moist. And again, this is just soy sauce and apple juice. And while I'm out here, I'm going to add just a couple more pieces of wood. As you can tell, it's starting to get kind of low. Alright guys, so it said it hit an internal temp of 130. I'm going to check it real fast with this other meat thermometer that I've got just to double check that it's 130. See what we look like. We'll probe it in a couple different places. 129. 131. So we'll go ahead and pull it off. I'm going to take it inside, slice it up. So I'm getting ready to slice it up, and they say that you want to slice it into roughly 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch pieces of meat. So again, I don't have any help right now, so I'm doing this one-handed. I don't want to have the camera all shaky. So I'm going to slice it up, pour the beer in it, and I'll take a picture and show you what that looks like. And then I'm going to put it back on the grill here in just a minute. Alright, so we finally hit our internal temp of 165, so we're going to pull it off and see how it looks. A lot of smoke. What do you think, Tom?
Looks good, looks good.
Let's take this in and try it.
What's just for smoking there right there?
Alright, so here it is. We got the deer meat. It's 6:30 now, so it's almost 5 hours, 5.5 hours. Get you a chunk. Come try it out. It's good. Nice and spicy. Going back for more. Again, this was a 3.5 pound deer neck. Took about 5.5 hours. 2 beers, a lot of spices. Turned out pretty good. Our next video, we're gonna go to Tom's property, my dad's property. We're gonna go out there, clean up the camp, and then the next video, what we're gonna do after that, we're gonna go for an overnight camp. So hit the subscribe button. We would appreciate it if you follow it. Thank you all.